Thanks for watching Jar of Awesome Sauce. In this video I'm working on a project for my son's Webelos Den. They're required to build a number of wood projects for the Craftsman badge or belt loop, and so I'm going to design a wall shelf for them to build, and then I'm going to build the kits for it and drop designs, drop directions, not designs. I started out by drawing out the wall shelf. My original plan was to make it about twice the size that I eventually ended up making it. I ended up making it 8 inches long, 3 inches deep, with 3-inch wall braces underneath. This is a very simple draft, and I just do it so that I can get the dimensions down and kind of wrap my head around the whole thing. This being an extra long process, I've really sped many of the videos up to about 10 times their original speed, because on this channel I'm still limited to the 15-minute length. On my other channel, Just Sean Time, I don't have those limits, and so sometimes I have longer videos. Okay, now that I've designed it, I need to draw out on pieces of wood the individual kits. I need to make at least 8 kits, so I decided I would make 10, assemble one of them from the worst pieces of wood, so that the scouts have something to look at, plus there's an extra kit in case another boy shows up or whatever happens. So I'm using a piece of angle iron as my straight edge. I couldn't find my T-square. My workshop is pretty messy right now, and I need to get out there and clean it one of these days. So I'm just marking out 3-inch measurements. I marked out the 8 inches wide, and now I'll draw in lines at the 3-inch marks. I realize that the blade of the saw has some width, but that's not going to really matter for the purposes of the Webelos building these wall shelves. That piece of angle iron wasn't exactly flat, neither was the board, so finding a way to get it to fit onto the board so that it would be smooth to draw a line was a bit of a challenge. Alright, that board's done, and I've got one more. Each board is going to hold 5 kits. Now I need to draw the little braces onto the board. So they're going to be 2 inches wide by 3 inches tall, which fits very nicely with the lines I already have drawn on both boards. So I'll draw a 2x3 box and then just draw diagonal lines across. Do that on both boards. Alright, now that that's done, I need to take it outside and cut it. It's about 110 degrees outside, so I'm not looking forward to working out there at the moment. Cutting went pretty smoothly. No complaints, except for the heat. I live in the Arizona desert, and the low desert, not the high desert like a lot of people say. I live, say I'm at about 1,000 feet. So, alright, I'm starting off now with the chop saw. I chop all of the diagonal portions off first so that I can keep the measurement, the angle measurement where it's at as I chop each one. I don't want to adjust back and forth just so that I cut the same piece of wood each time. Alright, all the cutting's done. I'm back inside and have had a nice drink of water. You can see my survival bracelet is now wet. I washed my arms off. They were covered in sawdust and it just wasn't any fun. Now I need to build a template for drilling these boards. In actuality, I ended up drilling the boards in 4 places each, but I'm going to end up using only one of the holes. The second one turned out to not be necessary, as well as problematic, as when I put together the example kit for the scouts, the second nail split the plywood, so I'm going to have them only use one of the nail holes for each brace. I would have made this part a lot faster if I'd only drilled the one hole, or the 2 holes. I suppose it's really just 2 holes, not 4. The template sure makes things much faster. If you're ever doing anything like this, I'd use a template for sure. This is a shirt my wife got me for my birthday one year. Always been a bit of a nerd. You notice when I'm drilling on an angle, I come in directly as straight as I can towards the board and then turn it to go down. That way you don't end up slipping down the board as you're putting pressure on it. I also have a drill press, but it's out in the workshop and that's hot out there, so this will do nicely and I don't need to clamp it all in. If I was making something that needed to be a little more fine, I might use the drill press and use some clamps to hold the boards in place. And there we go. Now I'm drilling the side of the brace that for the nail to be driven into. That first set of drilling on the brace is for it to attach to the wall, and it was inset as well. That was an inset drill. This I'm just marking with the nail through the hole on the bottom so I know where I'm going to drill, and then I'll drill them all in a similar fashion to how I did it before, except these are supposed to be perpendicular to the face that I'm drilling into, so there's no need to adjust. Boy, it sure seems to go a lot faster as I'm at 1,000% of the speed. Alright, now I'm building the kit. That board liked to move around a lot on the counter in the kitchen. It's Just seems to be not the perfect place to work on this type of thing. I wouldn't suggest anybody else use a saw in the manner I'm using it. But I'm trying to use similar tools that the boys will be using. They're going to have a work table that they can C-clamp it to. And you see here how I drive in the other nail and it splits it. And there's really no need for the other one. So I'll take out that nail and leave it that way. All right, now to making the directions. I first need to draw out each part and where the nail holes go. And draw it in dotted lines so that it is clear that that's not external. That's the inset hole that is for mounting to the wall, and the one that's going down. That is the line for being cut off. And draw some nails for them. I'm including in the kit a nail so that they're able to go to Home Depot or Lowe's or Ace Hardware or whatever and bring the nail with them and pick up the proper nails. I didn't have enough nails for them to use. I made all these out of scrap wood that I just had lying around for them. Arrows denoting the location of the one cut that they'll need to do. Letters for the parts. Supplies list. You're going to need a saw and a hammer and some sandpaper and some paint and stuff like that to put the kits together. And the instructions, step by step. This is taller than it is wide, so I rotated it so it would fit into the space a little bit better. Working in Illustrator is a lot different than working in a word processor when you're putting in text. A lot of the formatting you have to do on your own. There are some formatting options, but not nearly as many as a word processor. Similar to PageMaker, I suppose, but I much prefer to use Illustrator. I've used it for years and years, and I've become quite accustomed to using it. All right, now a three-dimensional view of the little shelf. Draw on the nail holes, drop them in approximate, throw it in there, expand it.